Global Shift Summit 1.0. Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. This is the maiden edition of the Global Shift Summit. And we are here live in 45 studios in the beautiful city of Oka, Anambra State. Once again, we welcome you and would like you to share with us where you're joining from by dropping your country flag. If you're joining from China, you're joining from Canada, from the United States, you're joining from wherever, drop your flags. And from those of us in our host country, Nigeria, also let us know by sharing your flag with us. And we encourage you to share the links, invite your friends, invite all the entrepreneurs you know within your circle. Let them not miss this event because it was designed for them. Okay, so in today's event, we're going to have a question and answer session where we'll attend to your biggest challenges and provide solutions to them with the help of our speaker who is here with us. So feel free to drop your questions as we progress and we'll collect them and attend to them accordingly. Thank you. And with me here is a very, very, very wonderful man who has been doing exploits in the entrepreneurial space of Africa. He is none other but Mr. Precious Obimdi. Welcome, sir.
It's a pleasure joining you in the studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Princewill.
You're welcome, sir. So, Mr. Obimdi here is an entrepreneur. He's an investor. He's an elite business coach, and he's known as the king of global trade. He is the CEO and chairman of Sealcore Group, which is hosting this summit, and we can't wait to receive from your wealth of wisdom, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. So I'm going to introduce the objectives and goals of this summit. Today we have a goal to create a community for entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Most of you listening to us here are people who are doing ventures, who are making moves in different sectors. Who are entrepreneurs like you, great ideators like you, people who are moving and shaking industries. Where you come together, find people of like mind, and you connect with them, and you share problems and actually get solutions. And of course, we're going to be bringing plenty goodies after this, trainings, workshops, where you get hands-on trainings. You get knowledge on how to move your business from where it is to where you want it to be. We are going to move straight to why we're here, as I will let our speaker take the stage. We'll be talking on building global giants from Africa. Once again, welcome, Mr. Obimdi.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again, Mr. Princewill. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to use the comment section to communicate and actively participate during the short while we're going to be spending time together. As you're joining in, you can share the link with your friends, you can share the link with your fellow entrepreneur and visionary. We want this message to spread all across Africa. As you're joining in, we would equally love to know where you're connecting from. You can share your country flag in the comment section. And as the session progresses, would like to get your questions and would like to get them answered. We're just going to be here for an hour. The Global Shift Summit is just to create awareness. My mentor, Mr. Ogo, usually says, teaching brings awareness, mentorship brings discipline, community brings wealth. And so the goal of the summit is to create the awareness. Now, after the summit, we're going to be having post-events that is going to mentor young African entrepreneurs to thrive in the global economy. And so I want to start by saying that the narrative that Africa is emerging is outdated. For far too long, Africans have been sold the lie that staying small, that starting small means staying small. And that's the reason why we're hosting the Global Shift Summit. Because every major economic revolution begins with a mindset shift.
Of course.
We need to move from that thinking small to thinking big. Now, I had to make a couple of research in order to prove some points that I'm going to be sharing with us in a couple minutes. Our continent, Africa, we produce 70% of the world's cocoa. Of course, you know cocoa for beverages and all of that. But we earn only 5% of the $100 billion chocolate industry.
Oh my God.
Because we don't own the value chain. And on the subject of value chain, we're going to double click on that in a moment. Meanwhile, companies from Asia and the West are aggressively coming into our continent, and they are aggressively investing in our continent. We don't own our own narrative. And so it's time to step out of the small business mindset and build globally dominant businesses, because the future doesn't belong to those who wait. And so in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to be sharing with us the blueprint that we need to build a globally dominant business. As you're joining us, we'd like you to share the link. Would like you to tell us what country that you're joining from. And like I said, if you've got questions, your questions are going to be answered as we make progress. And so you need to understand something about building a globally dominant business. Your mindset from day one should be global.
Yeah.
And for me, it's something that we need to do urgently. We as Africans, we need to begin to build globally dominant businesses, and we need to start doing that urgently. We've been sold the lie that we should build small-scale enterprises, and there are so many fundings that come out for small businesses, small-scale businesses, medium-sized enterprises. But why play small in a big pond?
Wow. Good.
And so it all begins, like I said, with the mindset. I remember when I started Sealcore International Lines in 2018, that was when the journey began. We completed in 2022, and we began shipping line service offering last year. We've built a platform. We're going to talk about leveraging technology. We've built a platform that connects Nigerian entrepreneurs to organizations across Asia, across Europe, across the Middle East. So with your phone, you can simply ship your products from any part of the world down to Nigeria.
Yeah,
and this is what we intend to replicate all across Africa. And when I began, I was faced with all kinds of obstacles: capital, the partnership that is needed to achieve such a level of feat. All of these things were an issue. But the problem we have most of the times is not the lack of potential, not the lack of capital. The problem we have is the lack of audacity.
Wow. That hit hard.
Yes, the lack of audacity. Africa is laden with so much potential. By 2050, our population is going to hit over 2.5 billion people.
That's massive.
And that's an enormous workforce. And that's an enormous customer base. About 400 million of that as of 2022 is the middle class.
Wow.
And that's the market we're in. But we are the ones who are not leveraging the market. But of course, we've got models, people like Kemi, who built the blood bank, the life bank in Lagos. She leveraged technology to connect blood donors to hospitals that need the blood in real time. That's a solution that solves a real life problem. And these are the kind of solutions that we want springing up across Africa. We talk about platforms, fintech platforms that are competing with PayPal. These are the kind of real solutions that we want all across Africa. And it begins with a mindset shift. We must quit the mediocre mindset of playing small and thinking small. Thinking within our zip code, thinking within our home cities. And we must go beyond that. And so from the very start, you must start thinking globally. How can I set up my business in the beautiful city of Oka, in the beautiful city of Lagos, in Ondo State, and that same service and that same product is sold in a store in Las Vegas. That same product is in the showcase in Shanghai. That same product. That's the mindset. And when we have that mindset, we begin to see ourselves as collaborators and not competitors.
Yeah, true.
The key competition are the global giants out there, not your fellow African brother. And that is why I see this crabs in the bucket mentality a lot with African entrepreneurs. We want to drag ourselves down. We want to fight ourselves. We want to pull ourselves. Meanwhile, the competition is not within Africa. The competition is the global giant in Italy. All right, so I'm here today for one reason and one reason only, to hand you the blueprint to build globally dominant businesses, not just enterprises that survive, not just enterprises that get by, but businesses that own industries, that command influence. And the first thing I want to talk about is structure for global relevance. You need to understand that global businesses are not built by accident. They are structured, they are engineered, and they are scaled by intent. You've got to be intentional from day one.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about companies like Alibaba wasn't built for China. Alibaba was built for the world. Tesla wasn't built for the US. Tesla was built for humanity. And so we must begin to come up with ideas that we cannot just deploy within our home cities. Ideas that can be deployed in every continent. So we need to think beyond countries. We need to start thinking in terms of continents.
Yeah.
And so beyond building organizations, one of the things we must learn to do is to build systems and not just hustles. Now I see this across different countries in Africa, where all we do is to build businesses that are founder dependent. And so if you cannot walk away from your enterprise, from your business, and the business runs itself, you don't have a business, you're not an entrepreneur, you simply have a job.
Wow. Another job.
Yes.
Wow.
You simply have another job.
Wow.
Because now you must begin to build things that can be automated. Whether you are there or you are not, the business is making progress. The business is gaining revenue. It's not founder dependent, it's system dependent. And that's the goal. You can be able to automate, you can be able to delegate. Your business can run on autopilot. And that's the first thing I want to talk about. And the second thing I want to talk about is leveraging technology, trade and strategic partnerships. When we look at companies like Flutterwave, they didn't wait for these other banks to fix the cross-border payment issues. They went in and they fixed the issues, and now they're transacting over billions of US dollars every single year on that platform. And they're competing with fintech companies like PayPal. And they're one of the unicorns in Africa.
Yeah, one of the very few.
Yes, one of the very few unicorns in Africa. We don't know. The spotlight is on Africa. Every single world economy has had their time on the spotlight. We've had the Industrial Revolution. We've had the economic boom in US. We've had the Asian tigers. And the only continent that has not had their time in the economic spotlight is Africa. And that is why I strongly believe that this is Africa's turn. But the people who are coming in to invest are the Asians and the Westerners. And we, for whom it is our time, we are yet asleep. We're still dependent on foreign aid. We're still dependent on foreign goods. We must begin to see Africa as a hub for innovation, not just a marketplace for foreign goods. Start to export our own products to the rest of the world. And so part of the reasons why we are setting up this program too is to be able to share policies, government policies, trade policies, that will ensure a smooth facilitation of this global trade within our continent. And so I'd like to hear from you, Mr. Princewill. If we continue the way we are in this continent, and we don't seek to change this consumer mentality, we don't seek to move from consumer to creators. You can imagine, we have 30% of the world's mineral resources domiciled in Africa. 60% of arable uncultivated land in Africa. Population of over 1.4 billion people in Africa. What then is the problem?
Wow. I think if you ask me, the problem, like you rightly said, it's a thing of the mind.
Absolutely.
You know, I've heard an analogy of an elephant that was chained to a spot, confined to a spot for a very long period of time. So this elephant wants to go out, is restricted, right?
Yeah.
Then after a while, the boundary, the limits, the chains, the cage is taken away.
Yeah.
This elephant is free, no longer bound to all those existing, the previous limits. But guess what? You see this elephant still walking within that area, going to the area where there was, that was before, a limit, gets there and moves back. Now the place is free for passage, but the elephant withdraws and is confined. This time, this elephant is held back not by a physical cage, but by a mental one.
Yeah.
So I think Africa is suffering from a mental conditioning, and we can't actually undo that unless platforms like this keep springing up from different quarters of Africa, because it has to be undone. And if not, I fear greatly, if we don't act quickly, we might have a place where Africa is not just stagnant, but retrogressive. Because if you are stagnant, the world is moving. So you're not just at the spot, you're actually moving backwards.
Absolutely.
Because I believe standing still is the same as moving backwards.
Absolutely.
So to avoid that, Africa has to wake up, and it starts with the mind. And that's it.
Yeah, and there are three belief systems that affect we Africans. And the first belief system is that we can't compete with these global giants. But we have models that have proved that myth wrong. Look at a company like Jumia.
Yeah.
Jumia is an e-commerce powerhouse. Look at companies like the one I just mentioned. Look at Andela, look at M-Pesa in Kenya. These are companies that are competing toe to toe with global giants across the world, and they are of African origin. And that is why you, streaming live from Angola, from Mozambique, any part of Africa you are in, you should begin to rejig your philosophy about what and how to build your business. And the second myth is that Africa is too risky in terms of investment. And I think the only risk is not actually investing in Africa.
Yeah.
The Asians are coming in, the West are coming in, and they are bringing in hundreds of billions of US dollars into this continent. If Africa was too risky to invest in, why is that happening? And why is that? It's the rest of the world that is coming in here to make this investment. And as such, we don't own our own narratives. We don't own our own industries. And the third myth, I believe, is that Africa's biggest opportunity is natural resources. And so we are fighting ourselves over crude oil. We are fighting ourselves over land, gold mines, over arable lands. I believe strongly that Africa's greatest resources is its people. We have the market in Africa. And that is why the rest of the world are pushing down their product, down the throats of Africans. We have the population in Africa. And all you need is to create a product that will serve the available population. And then beyond serving your local community, push it to the rest of the world. You want to say something?
Yeah, that's what you just said. Actually, when we've been too long behind, we're now the market. Every other continent, they are the producers, and whatever they hand over to us, we just take it. And I just think we have to start making solutions. Absolutely, there are problems all around us. Actually, if you look around, you'd see a problem around you, around your country, within you. Those things you complain about, this is not working. I wish this was working better. I wish this was better. These are opportunities for you to make billions of dollars. Absolutely, right? So I'm looking forward to an Africa where we don't just start businesses for starting business sake because entrepreneurship is a trendy keyword. No, because when we do that, we have solutions looking for problems. We have people who create businesses without looking for problems. No, we should create problem-based business, and I think that would help us navigate this. When we find a problem and we get a matching solution and we monetize it, and that's how you get businesses that can thrive.
And I think we should even go beyond owning businesses. We should begin to own the value chain.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you look at Africa is we're not on top of the value chain. We are beneath the value chain.
The very bottom. The very bottom.
The very bottom of the value chain. And so we grow the cocoa, but we don't own chocolate factories. We don't manufacture. We don't process. We don't distribute. And so all we do is to produce raw materials.
Wow.
And wealth does not come to you because you're a producer. Wealth comes to you because you own the value chain.
Yeah, very true.
And so we produce cocoa, but we don't own the chocolate factories. We mine the gold, but we don't mint the jewel. We mine the crude oil, but we don't process into, and then we export the petroleum product at premium prices. But you look at a figure like Aliko Dangote, he's redefining the narrative.
Yeah, that's one heck of a guy.
Yes. And he has done that in the building industry with the cement production. He's doing that with the crude oil industry with the largest petroleum refinery in Africa.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
That is called owning the supply chain. So the oil is mined, is processed, and is distributed.
Yeah.
That's owning the value chain. And if you want to create a generational wealth, you must be willing to go up that value chain, not just be at the bottom of the value chain.
Yeah.
You want to comment on that?
Yeah. Like you just said, that what Dangote is doing is a shining example to all of us, because the value chain, like you said, that's where you don't just do all the work and someone else earns all the money, because the money is in the finished product, right? Yeah. Someone who does the cocoa work, the farm work, the harvesting, the farming, the caregiving of the cocoa, and this is ready, and we export them raw when their value are very little.
Yeah.
Now, some other guy who understands what you just said, value chain, takes this cocoa, processes it into different things, into many things. Chocolate is just one of them.
Yeah.
It's just one of many derivatives of cocoa.
Yeah.
And chocolate is sold for a premium.
Absolutely.
Sold for a premium. We buy them, and we're making the money. And we are the farmers. There can't be chocolate without the cocoa.
Yeah.
So without us, there won't be chocolate. But is it reflecting that an industry of that magnitude, we are a very powerhouse of it, but it's not reflecting?
Yeah.
It's not. That's a problem. That's a problem. So we should start thinking not just entrepreneurship, but owning the value chain.
Absolutely.
Not just being a part of it, not just owning the value chain, not being a slave to it. So I think this is the ingredients we need.
For example, Ethiopia produces coffee, but Starbucks processes the coffee and distributes the coffee. Starbucks is worth billions of US dollars. And so what we intend to achieve with programs, with summits like this, is to awaken a new breed of entrepreneurs who's going to say no to the economic insanity.
Yeah.
I am making my own contribution. Okay, take for example the global traders of 2022 worth hundreds of trillions of US dollars. Africa as a continent produced just 3%, contributed just 3% to the global trade, to the global marketplace. 3%.
That's alarming.
As a continent. And the reason why sometimes, even when the West is talking about the different countries in Africa, instead of mentioning the exact country, they call it Africa. Instead of saying Nigeria or it's our problems are the same.
Wow.
Our difficulties are the same.
Wow.
All over. And so if you're there, you're watching us, one of the core decisions you need to make is to take your seat at the global table. We're sick and tired of playing small in the global marketplace. The rest of the world is moving trillions of US dollars in global trade, and we are contributing just 3%. Less than 3%. That was about 2.7%.
Not even 3%.
Not even up to 3%.
Wow.
And so we need entrepreneurs who is going to step up and begin to build businesses that will compete toe to toe with global giants. And all we intend to do with this summit is to bring the awareness of our lapses as a continent. So besides coming up with ideas that blow your mind, how can we replicate this in the rest of the world? How can we take that same idea, replicate it in Shanghai, replicate it in New York City, replicate it in Mexico? Same idea. And that's the same thing the West are doing. Look at Apple. Look at Tesla.
Now, as we talk about this, something came to my mind. When you mentioned Apple, this is I think the most valuable company in the world.
Yeah.
Or number 2 or number 3. I know first top 3, and Apple is doing exploits in every regard.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at how we're able to achieve this. I was taking a look at structuring for global relevance. I think some of their production is done, assemblage is done in China.
Yeah.
And all of that. So now something comes to mind when I think about this. What's the role of partnership? What do you think partnership would do for us? Because I see one thing. I see one dot.
Yeah.
Common in all these unicorns.
Okay.
I see all of them doing strategic partnerships.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm thinking. I want you to throw more light on what do you think? How much difference do you think partnership would bring if we add it to how we do business and not just do 100% of zero, 100% of nothing?
Yeah. Actually, one of the I was going to talk about the strategic alliances. We cannot build globally dominant businesses in isolation. We must understand the place of partnership with one another, and that is what I believe every globally dominant business worldwide understands. You understand partnership. You understand collaboration. Yeah? And if you look at what Apple has done, it's simple. They own the value chain.
Yes. Completely.
And so they come down to Africa, they mine the resources, the raw material, all of the things they need to process that raw material into a finished product. Yeah? They get their components from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
They go to Taiwan, either Taiwan or Hong Kong or China, where they've outsourced their manufacturing.
Yeah.
They manufacture their product, they prototype, and then they mass produce.
And they stay on where they have strength, on designing the actual product.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They mass produce, and then they distribute. And so it begins with ideation. Because every product is created twice. You have to think about it first in your mind before you bring it to life. And so when you come up with the product, now the law of wealth creation forbids you from being the only consumer of your product. And so when you succeed by creating a prototype of that product, you have still not achieved wealth creation. Now what you need to do is to mass produce.
Yes, get this thing out.
Mass produce. Now if you mass produce the product and you have all this product in your warehouse, you've still not achieved the purpose. This is where channels of distribution comes in.
Yes.
So if you're right here in Nigeria, the same iPhone 13 you have, the same features, the same functionality is the same as someone who is in Tanzania.
Yes.
The same as someone who is in Mozambique. They've mastered the art of owning the value chain.
They might not be assembled in the same country.
And all of that product is coming from Apple.
Yeah.
They own the entire thing. But that is done through partnership.
Yes.
So they outsource manufacturing to China where labor is cheap, and now to India where labor is cheap. But there's cheap labor. They source the material from all over the world, from Africa, from and they assemble and they distribute. The same thing with Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
They've mastered the art of owning the value chain. And that is what we must do with our enterprises, with our businesses, with our organizations. We must quit this small thinking mindset. I mean, I hate the term small businesses.
Annoying. I even heard one.
The term small
I heard
businesses.
nano, micro. There are many multiple tiny. We're getting smaller by the day.
Why play small? So you must begin to see the world as your marketplace. The entire universe is your marketplace. The entire universe. And what I usually do when I want to step into an industry, I check the global net worth of the industry, I check the global leaders in the industry, and I ask myself, how many years is it going to take for the global leaders in this industry to feel my presence, to notice my presence, that this guy is in this industry.
Yeah.
This guy is African, he's black.
Yeah.
He's black guy.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest with myself, because these guys have been there 10 years, 50 years, 100 years in the industry. I mean, it's a business that's been passed on from one generation to the next.
Generational one, yeah.
So sometimes I go, okay, it could probably take 50 years, it could probably take 80 years, it could probably take 30 years. Then I ask myself, are you willing to stay this long? Because what I notice about the kind of businesses that we run here, we just run businesses, it's just a hustle.
Yeah.
We just want to get by.
Another income stream.
It's just for survival. We're not building to scale. We're not building to impact. We're building to survive. We're building to barely get by. And that must stop. We must begin to build with intent to scale globally, not just locally. Thinking beyond our zip code.
Yeah.
And so my fellow brothers and sisters across Africa, one of the other things I'd like to share with us before we get into the question and answer session is this. The first 3 years of running your business is not the time to spend. It's not the time to take out money from the organization. It's just like having a newborn baby. For the first 3 years, all you got to do is invest in the baby. You're feeding the baby.
Yes.
You're getting clothing, you're providing shelter, you're providing nourishment, you're nourishing the baby. You're not demanding from that child. Because if you begin that early to demand from the child, you might lose the child eventually.
Yeah.
But that is what we do with our startups. And so the very moment your startup begins to make money, that's the time you want to drive a Bentley.
You want to enjoy.
You want to wear a Nike that you couldn't previously afford. You want to use a Rolex. And you are starving the business of capital it needs to expand. And eventually, the business dies. The business joins the 98% of businesses that do not survive within 3 years.
Wow.
And so for the first 3 years of your enterprise, we're talking about building globally dominant businesses. What you need to do is to invest every single revenue that the business generates back into the business.
All in.
All in.
Wow.
For expansion, for scaling, everything back into the business. Until the business is strong enough to stand on its own.
Yeah.
The time is going to come for the spending, but don't do it too early. You're going to lose the whole thing. I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, that's like you've literally said it all. The mistake we make in Africa, where we see some people open businesses as a way to just buy the things they couldn't afford. So you're doing a job where you're earning a very comfortable salary, and you open a business because you don't want to submit to any boss.
Yeah.
You just want to be your own boss.
Yeah.
I've seen funny reasons why some Africans start businesses. It's very appalling. You want to be your own boss. Now, there's some sort of people who are very diligent. They're ready to put in the work, but can't wait long enough. They assume the first, like you said, money starts coming. I'm rich. I made the money.
Yeah.
I should eat it. And now, the very bloodline of that business, which is that money, the capital, you are sapping it without it being grown enough, matured enough. It's like you going to a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old to donate blood, to get donation of blood.
Yeah.
Yes, this baby has blood. It's blood.
Yeah.
It's no different from the blood you get from an adult. It's blood. But there's a timing to it.
Absolutely.
There's a time, there's a maturity this person can get to. He can donate several pints of blood and won't die, will be comfortable. So let's treat our businesses like actual entities we want to survive.
Yeah.
Just give them time. Like time. It's just give it time. Let this business grow. This business, let it pass through a phase from crawling to walking to running to jumping. Not a business that's still struggling, that's still crawling, and you're living off the entire thing. Some people don't want to get people on their teams because they want to keep 100% of what they're earning. I've seen many things that make me cry, actually. But I feel comforted when I see a few actually who are getting this thing right. And that's why we have this platform to highlight what they do. I look at what you did with what you're doing with Sealcore lines, and it's very impressive. In a business that is a few years old, spreading from China to Lagos, Nigeria, to the city of Oka, to Germany, going international across continents. This is not just national, but all of that was possible, not just because you dreamt about it, not just because you own the system, but you were patient enough to deprive yourself of that gratification.
Absolutely.
It's your money, you work for it. Yeah, I know sometimes you work late nights, you did all of that. We know nobody's saying you should suffer, right? But just know that there is a better time for enjoyment. Absolutely. There is a giving time, there is seed time, there is harvest time. When you eat your seed, what happens? The other guy who planted his seed is going to come during the harvest season with harvest. Let's see a picture where two people, Mr. A and Mr. B, have good seeds. And Mr. A has a very fertile soil. Very good soil, well fertilized, well watered, well nourished. And Mr. B has, soil that's barely good. But Mr. B plants his seed. And Mr. A eats his seed and I have very good soil. My seed is going to grow. What will happen during harvest? Mr. A is going to go to Mr. B to beg.
Absolutely.
Even if Mr. A plants his seed and the first fruit that comes out, you want to eat everything. You want to eat the seed. You can't wait to buy that car. You can't wait to buy that watch. You can't wait to buy that hat. You can't wait to buy the house. You want to move from a 3-room flat, you want to move to a duplex. Even you don't check if you can afford it. The fact that you have the money doesn't mean your business can afford it.
Absolutely.
That first fruit you are eating could actually be invested back. If Mr. B gets the first fruit, invests back all the seeds. Take just as much as he needs to survive. Invest back all the seeds. In time, Mr. B is going to have an orchard of fruit.
Absolutely.
And you will have one tree that is struggling or nothing at all, might eventually die out. You had a better opportunity. You had better soil and all of that, but it comes down to who is able to wait it out. There is a waiting part to entrepreneurship. Absolutely. Amazon did it. Investors had to do a kind of vesting, did vesting for a very long period of time where Amazon had actually become profitable. These guys know that the money they've invested in Amazon have started yielding, but they are not yet eating it. They vested for 4 years, they vested for plenty years, and today Amazon is global. So if you want to eat now, they can comfortably buy any car. But we who should be waiting it out, we want to buy the car they bought without waiting like they did. And that's a problem. That's where we get it wrong. That's where we cripple our businesses. We sap ourselves dry. And I think we need to get that right if we can take our place. If we would ever take our place on the global stage.
That's absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And so if you heard what I heard, you need to start making a rethink if you're part of the category of persons who want to spend even before you start earning. So the first 3 years of your business is for investment, it's not for spending. It's not for luxury lifestyle, it's not to elevate your lifestyle. It's to invest. It's seed year.
Yes.
I call it seed years. Yeah? And if you're able to get your first 3 years right, I can guarantee you will scale. If you can get the first 3 years of your organization right, you will scale. And so the other thing I want to equally talk about is branding for global dominance. And I think you do justice to that.
Yeah.
Branding for global dominance, because if you're structuring your business for global dominance, then even your brand identity
has to reflect that.
Has to reflect that. Character is part of your is a key component of your personal branding. Your character, what you say, how you say it, when you say it.
Yes. You know, there's this thing. When you look at from a psychological perspective, what we are emotional beings, right? And humans have personalities. Most of us have heard about personality traits, personality types, all of those stuff.
Yeah.
Those are what makes us human. Gives us our personality, makes you different from another person, right? So now, first of all, your personality is already a brand.
Yeah.
But now, branding is when you want to do personal branding intentionally, you are picking the best traits of your personality to sell. Now let's look at that from a business point of view. Your business is an entity. Your business is your company, your startup. It's not a person, right? But branding is actually giving personality to that entity that is not human.
Yeah.
To make it feel more human. Because what? Humans connect to humans.
Yeah.
People connect to people. So when you hear things like
I choose Coca-Cola, Pepsi,
the because is not that this offers more nutritional value than this. It's because I like. It's a sentiment.
Yeah.
It's emotions.
Yeah.
Why? For that to happen, Coca-Cola has been able to position itself in a way that people can now have feelings towards an entity like it was a person. So you like this over this. You like this guy. You trust this over this. Trust. Humans trust humans.
Absolutely.
You get. So branding is beyond the logo. It's beyond the font.
Yeah.
Beyond the color.
Yeah.
It's beyond all of those shenanigans. Those things. They are part of it. But that's not branding. That's one aspect of how you express it, right? So the branding is the look and feel, the experience you arouse, the feeling you arouse. Look at Apple, for instance. I tell you, most of you have quality Apple phones, iPhone 16, iPads. You use very quality Macs. There is something I noticed. When someone I have friends, I've studied them over years. Some of them have very good performance goals. I tell you. Google Pixels, Samsung Galaxies, very wonderful gadgets that actually maybe outdo Apple.
Yeah.
But when they have an Apple phone, I noticed this, like there is the bar of self-esteem tops up a little more. Did you get it? You feel extra when you have an Apple phone. That was intentionally designed. It's not by chance. It didn't happen. The curve of your phone, the material that were used, the colors that were used, the feel, the texture of the material, whether it's gloss, whether it has a matte finish, all of those things were designed to arouse a feeling. So you have Apple and you're feeling an improved level of prestige.
Yeah.
You notice their campaigns don't focus on shoot the best picture in the world.
Yeah.
They tell you think different. They are speaking to your emotions. So that's branding. Branding is where you make this entity so human, that you make people fall in love with it. So that's branding. It's something you have to get right in your personal brand as an entrepreneur. Because I understand that businesses are going to the point where the competition has made it so tough. So you have to actually leverage personal branding. It's getting to a point where people will buy products, not because of the specifications of the product, but because of the person related to the product. Steve Jobs was someone who had his personality is one of innovation. He thinks different. So I see a place where his personality, his personal brand, like was fused into Apple. Because you notice everybody's businesses looks like them. That's why it's important as a founder to factor those things in You don't have to write it on a document. You just notice you're not comfortable with people's orders being delayed. You want to go out of your way to make sure there is no delay. Why? It is first a trait. So now, Sealcore as a company has that trait now.
Yeah.
It's a thing that sets it apart. So someone will say, I choose Sealcore over FedEx.
Yeah.
Why? You don't delay my product.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's branding. Now, the branding is timeliness, promptness of delivery. It's a branding. So Apple is selling luxury. Apple is selling status. Apple is selling exclusivity. And that's what determines the color. You see white and black. It erupts a feeling of exclusivity.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what it should be like. I was talking with a graphic designer one time, long ago. I asked him, how do you go about your design process? Okay, he said he was a brand identity designer. You know, there's a big difference between these two. How do you go about your design process? He asked the customer, what's your favorite color? Like, what is that? What's your favorite color? For the business, you don't do that. You do colors that will evoke a certain feeling. Yeah. What if your favorite color is purple and it doesn't have any meaning that relates to the product you sell? Yeah. You're going to be branding off point. Yeah. So Apple had this value set and they determined the colors. Yeah. They determined the fonts. They determined the iconography. They determined all of that. So personal branding is that thing, but corporate branding that helps you stand out. Yeah. So in a market of 200 people that offer the same product, close to the same product, maybe, that offer the same services. Your phone can shoot 10x zoom. This phone can shoot 10x zoom. Yeah. Your phone has 3 cameras behind, 50 megapixels each. This other phone offers more, 100 megapixels, maxed out. Anything you have, you think you have to offer, they have it to offer. How will you differentiate yourself? Yeah. Without losing you, without trying to now become the other guy. Yeah. Because if you try to become that guy, he will beat you at it. Yeah. He's doing it before you. They know him for doing that. Yeah. So how do you, despite while doing what you're doing, how do you get to be differentiated from that guy? Branding does it. You can choose a trait that is not tangible and sell. That is how you separate yourself. There's a fashion brand I know, Fanit. I worked on their brand identity. You know, every other fashion designer is selling style, beautiful garments. We make very nice outfits. But for crying out loud, that's what every fashion designer says. Yeah. If you have 10 fashion designers in the street, in an avenue, you ask them, in a shopping complex, all of them, you're making nice outfits, you're making beautiful outfits, you're making gorgeous outfits. What differentiates you? Because if everybody's making beautiful outfits, I can just randomly choose anybody. Yeah. Now this guy left the area of selling outfits. He's now selling something else. And he's reflecting on his slogan. That's branded. The slogan says, unfailingly reliable. Wow. There's a subtle message is passing to your side. Brand is more of psychology. I'm telling you, like, it's giving businesses traits like human beings. So someone sees this brand, Fanit. So since every other person makes clothes, Fanit says they make it unfailingly reliable. So if your wedding is on the 4th of March, and because of a tight schedule, you were able to place an order for a custom suit by the 28th of February. So you have just barely 3 days. Yeah. Now at this point, you're not looking for any good, you're not just looking for a good fashion designer. Yeah. You're looking for a good one that can meet that deadline. At that point, you and every other person is not on your list. Yes. You're looking for a Fanit that can tell you, I will deliver it unfailingly. Yeah. You get it? So and actually in branding, it's not just about making promises, make them, keep them. Yeah. That's how it makes sense. Make them, keep them. When someone lies to you today, lies to you tomorrow, what happens? The third day, they're telling the truth, you think it's a lie. Yeah. So in branding, when you make those promises, when you go out there showing your best fit, always try to keep to it. And it helps you. I've seen Sealcore lines, I've seen reviews, I've related with the brand sentiment online, and I've seen it's all positive. It's not by chance, it's by design. Yeah. These people make promises, they keep promises. Yeah. That's branding. So when you are going to the global stage, you're not coming off as someone that's not dependable. You're not coming off as someone who is mediocre. Yeah. You're telling them, I've done business so well in Africa. I've done business so well in Nigeria that I know the world needs my kind of shipping agency. I've done this so well in Nigeria and I've beat everyone doing it there, and I want to go to the global stage. We don't have to export mediocrity. Yeah. That's the problem. Because if you just want to go global and you've not fine-tuned your craft, you're going to crash. Yeah. And the crash will be bigger now because the global stage is watching. Yeah. So you would be better off in your local, your local corner, right? So while we're looking at scaling, we're setting our minds, thinking big, thinking beyond our zip code, like you say. I love that phrase. And we also think of branding to set ourselves apart from every other person, from the rest. So it becomes I versus the rest. You are you. So while we're doing all that, we actually make sure that we are good at what we do. We are good, like you have to be excellent. Now, to me, excellence is not perfection, because businesses, we grow with time.
Absolutely.
You get started. If you wait for perfection, you might eventually die in the thought process stage. You might not even get started at all. But while you are not looking forward to being perfect, you have to be excellent. Now, excellence is doing your best possible per time. Excellence is giving your best possible service per time. Excellence is doing at your current level. What's the best you can do? That's excellent. So do it excellently. Get your business idea. Get started. Dream big. Aim for the stars. Shoot like you're sure you'll get it. Do it excellently. And of course, you will not miss. I tell you, you won't miss. You are going to get there. It will take time, of course. So businesses bail out because they underestimated the time. They thought it would just be 2 years. You have to understand that this thing doesn't just work like that. There are people in this game already. So you have to give it time. Give it time. Time will test it. Some of those guys won't be as dedicated as you. You have something they don't have. You have grit. We're Africans, for crying out loud. We have grit. So let's not just do business without strategy. Let's do business strategically. Let's design our models in a way that we own the value chain. And let's do it excellently. And let's brand it. Let's tell that story of excellence well. You can be doing very well, and if it's not being projected, nobody will know what you do.
You're invisible.
You'll be invisible. Your wondrous work, there'll be sung in darkness. People won't know. So let your light shine forth. But it has to be a light. It has to be something you can do very well. You make sure that during your capacity building stage as an entrepreneur, personal development, you've done it, because you are going to transfer most of your traits to this business. Without knowing. It doesn't have to be in the document, but I tell you, you are the chief decision maker of that business. You're going to transfer most of your traits to that business, and people will know that business for that. It's branding. Even though your logo doesn't say it, that you deliver late. Once you deliver late, people know your business that you deliver late, you don't keep to time. It's branding. They know you as a late comer. It's branding. It's doing you bad. So, and that's because you transfer that personal trait to that business. So we have to work on development, capacity building, excellence. Get it out there, brand it, and scream your story like no one cares. If you don't tell your story, no one will. There's a thing we say in Nigeria, there's a pidgin phrase, say carry your market for head. You have to carry your markets for head, for crying out loud. I believe if we get these pieces together, we piece them where they belong, that we'll get to a point, where Africa is not just a continent that is dependent on palliatives. It's not just a continent where people dump rubbish. They want to test run vaccines, they're sending to you because they know for crying out loud you will not produce vaccines. Even when there are people producing vaccines, you will not support it. Africans have this place they've taken. But we can get out of there if we get all these things right. Europe was not built in a year. America was not built in a year. China started this journey long ago. So it takes time. But it means we have to imbibe all of this. Don't let this be just another conference, just another summit. Because people can come here, live the same way they are. But I know you can come here and live different. You can come here and the change from what you learned will reflect on your business. And I tell you, you will not be where you are in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year. So just try your best to make sure your business is growing. Take advantage of branding, leverage it. I really think that's Apple's biggest weapon, I'd say. It's not really the marketing budget, because marketing promotes something. So your branding is that story, the narrative you're telling, the feeling you're selling, all of that. Marketing is just a way to get to reach a wider audience. Whether they do marketing or not, once someone has Apple, word of mouth will still happen. It will still travel. So marketing is just a way of amplifying your branding. So some people swear by marketing. Say your branding right, do your marketing right. And the global stage is just okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sometimes I get sent screenshot of where someone somewhere, it could be on Twitter, it could be on Facebook, is bragging about the company. Recommending the company. I was sent a screenshot a couple of days ago where even a client of ours, although I don't even know her, she was vouching for the company and she was putting herself on the line.
That's it.
She was telling the prospect, if they don't deliver, hold me accountable.
That's it. That's a level of trust.
Yes.
That you can only give to fellow human beings.
Yes.
But now you see it reflecting in business is why branding was done right. Yeah.
And so that begins from our own personal character.
Yes.
Because that is exactly what you pass down to the organization.
Yeah.
That is what you pass down to your team. Your team looks at you more than they listen to what you say. I don't know if we have questions from the audience. Okay, we do. In a couple minutes, we're going to be getting the questions and we're going to be answering them. She's getting the questions across to you.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to ask the first question. This person says, thank you so much, Mr. Obimdi Precious and Mr. Princewill. So you mentioned that the first 3 years of a business are not for spending. What advice would you give to a young entrepreneur who is building his business but also has family bills and expenses to manage? How should he navigate?
I've spoken on different platforms where I talk about this concept of 999 days, and I actually learned it from Mr. Vusi Timbukwayo. And I usually get this question where people talk about they have other bills to pay, and my question is, what happens when you pay the bills and lose the business?
Bills pile up.
What happens? And so the concept of reinvesting every revenue the business generates doesn't necessarily mean you starve to death. But it means that you cut off unnecessary expenditure. So even when you have excess cash flow, the excess cash flow is not designed for you to elevate your lifestyle.
More spending. Yeah.
The excess cash flow is to reinvest back into the business. Because you need to scale. And scaling requires funding. So if you want the business to generate more revenue, you must be willing to spend, invest back into the business.
Yes.
To be able for the business to gain a level of stability. Right?
Yeah.
And so because you have family bills, and you need to understand that you're not designed to solve every problem. I learned that in a hard way, because while growing up, I believe that once someone comes with one issue or the other, and they come to me,
you should do something.
I should do something. But that's not the case. You're not designed to solve every problem. As a human being, there are problems that you're designed to solve, and there are problems you're not designed to solve.
Yes.
Question: if you don't have the business at all, there will still be bills.
Yes.
If you lose the business, there are still going to be bills. Right?
Yeah.
And so you need to equally be able to develop emotional intelligence, not to do some things out of sentiments. It's what we call financial stewardship.
Yes.
And so what I started doing is that I allocate a percentage of my earnings to helping other people. Yeah?
Yeah.
And when that percentage is exhausted,
that's it.
Except in extreme cases.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Except in extreme cases. And so if it's adjusted for the month, I don't know. I can help you.
Wait till next month.
Yeah.
So that brings a touch of discipline.
Absolutely.
To your financial stewardship.
You must be able to discipline your spending. My African brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Because I go on the news and I see businesses. This guy that got $6 million venture capital failed. I saw quite a number of them, and some of them are exiting and packing up even without publicity. Just close down.
Just sneak away from the business.
So after getting venture capitalists to fund the businesses, then what happens? And when I read through the news, I discover that it is spending in the things that are unnecessary. So you got a $3 million funding, $6 million funding, $10 million funding, and all of a sudden, the CEO is now driving a Lamborghini. The CEO now rents an apartment in Las Vegas. You're living a lavish lifestyle on investors' fund, and you're already losing trust. One thing about elevating your lifestyle is that when the when the cash flow comes down, you are still forced to stay there. So you need to separate your business from yourself. Your business is a separate entity, a separate organization from yourself. Separate bank accounts. And you need to be accountable to your team. Every single month I send the company's statement to my managers. Every single thing is accounted for. The company pays me salary. Yes. Is it my company? Yes. But I get paid salary, and that is what I live on. Except that I run other businesses and I own some other subsidiaries where I, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for doing justice to that question. So now the second person says, sir, what is your best advice for young entrepreneurs or business owners striving for success?
My best advice is you've got to seek for knowledge. I had my biggest financial loss in 2020, and that was because I knew so little about an investment that I went into. And so you need to seek for knowledge, and you need to start early. If you've heard me speak on any platform, you must have heard me use the term start early. Start early gives you the leverage to make mistakes, learn what works, jettison what does not, iterate, and make progress. Now, beyond starting early and beyond seeking for knowledge, you need to seek for mentors. I call them maps and mirrors. So you find someone who mirrors what you intend to achieve in a particular industry. You find someone who has walked the walk, who has the proven track record. Now, a lot of people say there's no shortcut to success. But mentorship is a shortcut to success.
The shortcut.
Is the shortcut to success. Because now, someone who has walked the talk, he knows all of the obstacles along the way. He knows the route.
He knows where there are ditches, where to avoid.
Absolutely. And so all you're going to do, submit to this person, honor the person, and he's going to take you by the hand and lead you through. And so some of the issues and obstacles that would have kept you grounded for years, some of the things that would have taken you 10 years can happen in 3 years. Sometimes it could be by recommendation. Sometimes it could be a 30 minutes phone call. So seek for knowledge and seek for mentorship. Don't try to tread this path alone in isolation. Seek for mentorship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So now, question number 3 says, what are the most important lessons young business owners should learn early to increase their chances of success?
Okay, so I think we've mentioned that when it comes to financial stewardship. And one of the greatest issues that we have in life, not just in business, is the issue of conformity. We want to conform. And the problem is that we are conforming to the majority of people who are failing in their craft. And so imagine someone wants to start a business, he wants to set up an office space. Guess what? He starts going around other people's office spaces who are mediocre to gain insight on how to set his. Now, what I do when I want to set up an office space or whatever, I find the people who are top industry leaders across the globe in the particular industry that I just stepped into. That is where I gain inspiration from. I don't check the local market. I don't check the local community. And so it's not our fault. Your pre-nursery, your nursery, your secondary school, you wore uniform. Some uniform, some lunch pack, some shoes. And so you're designed to conform. And that is why we cannot just untangle the mindset you've had over the years in just a 2-hour summit. That's why we have post programs to ensure that this mindset shift occurs completely. Someone who has been indoctrinated with the mindset of poverty for 25 years, you can't untangle that in 2 hours.
No.
And you discover that Because the person is asking, what are the things that you got to do to increase your chances of success? Yeah, so nobody was born poor. No one was born a failure. But we are taught or indoctrinated into poverty and failure.
Yeah.
Now, you went through primary school, secondary school, I don't know what it's called in your own country, your home country, and you discovered that the people who taught you are poor people, poor teachers.
Yes.
You went to the university, you were taught by poor teachers. Now, I honor my teachers, I honor my lecturers, I appreciate them, I honor them, but we've got to be honest. And so while they taught you mathematics and English language, they rubbed off that poverty mentality.
Yeah, alongside the knowledge.
I mean, if you came from an African home like I am, my mom usually says, money don't grow on trees. You don't pluck money from trees. Sometimes when you ask for something, you don't pluck money from trees.
Yeah.
And so that creates a scarcity mentality.
Yeah, let's just be little, let's just manage.
That creates a scarcity mentality. And so like I said to the other guy, you've got to go for knowledge. You've got to get books, read books, go for courses, take courses that's going to empower you. And it's not just about gaining knowledge. It's about getting streamlined knowledge. Because what I did early on is I discovered that the industry where I want to stay, where I want to thrive, is the global trading industry, the shipping industry. And what did I got courses, I got books that was going to shape me, that was going to educate me in that industry.
Yeah.
I was not majorly interested in learning everything. And so that is what you must do. And like I said to the other person, I'm opening up the opportunity for mentorship for as many of you that would love to join my mentorship circle. I've got a G100 group to empower African entrepreneurs to thrive in the global economy. If you want to extend the hand of partnership, you can send me an email. Regardless of the country where you're in, if you want us to come into Angola, Mozambique, and replicate the result that we have here, we will come in and we would replicate the result. Because we're in a hurry to rewrite the narrative.
Yeah, it has to be fast.
We're in a hurry to write the narrative. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I see a point where if we are hundreds of years behind, we have to do 10 times the work others are doing.
Yes.
To actually catch up, talk more of exceeding what they've done.
Yes.
So I think this is how far we can go because of time. This is how far we can take, and your questions are all recorded. We are going to, attend to them in our master classes.
Okay.
We will communicate to you when we are ready, and we'll avail you with registration details and all of them. If you have any contributions, like he said, you want us to come over to your country, do virtual or physical events, and help you and entrepreneurs in your vicinity. Yeah. You also catch up with the pace at which we are set to move. You can send an email to info@sealcorelines.com. So we'll be looking forward to your message. I will get back to you as soon as we find them. So, Mr. Obimdi, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So this is 45 Studios, where we are hosting this. It's one of the results of entrepreneurship done right. So 45 Studios made it possible for us to hold this summit virtually today. So we look forward to bringing you more goodies, and hang on with us. Just keep in touch. We're going to communicate with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I remain my humble self, Princewill Ezenwa. So thank you, Mr. Obimdi.
Thank you so much.
And this is where we're going to draw the curtains for today's edition of the Global Shift Summit 1.0. Look forward to having you around. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We love you.